Yesterday we discussed what did we take yesterday? We took a very important question. We asked about what? Scientific innovation. And what was, if you remember, what was the main question? It's in your book. You'll find it on page 237.
What are the costs of scientific innovation?
Yes. What are the costs of scientific innovation? And his main point that for each innovation, there is a good side, but on the same time, there is a bad side. Okay, and we have to be aware of the bad side. And he mentioned Marie Curie, who discovered the radium, and radium was the reason for her death. Okay. And then we discussed some skills and academic vocabulary, the imagery, right? And then we discussed the diction, mood, voice, and syntax. Quickly, because we are going to solve 239. Diction is what, girls? Who can tell me what is diction?
The word choice.
Yeah?
The word choice, I think.
The word choice. How he chooses his words.
Yeah.
Syntax. ليان لحام. ليان فضل. What is a syntax? طب لوجين.
And the way the author arranges his words and sentences, like
yes. So diction is the choice of the words. Syntax, how he put them together. Okay? طيب. Grammatically, how he formed them grammatically. Then we go to the voice. Who can tell me what is the voice? Najwa?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, voice. What is the voice of the author?
Like the tone of him.
Yes. How can you find the voice?
In his word choice and in his writing.
Yes. Voice is the author's personality. It's shown in the voice. What about the mood, Noor Bilal? The mood.
It is the emotional context.
Yes, that the reader gets when he reads. The mood is for the selection itself. Or tone or voice is for the author. Mood is what the author puts me in when I read. So here, Sarah, it was your turn yesterday to discuss with me the excerpt.
Yes.
Okay. Question number 1, how would you describe Takashi's diction? Takashi's diction. His diction is what? The diction, again, is the choice of words. How can you describe his diction?
He used words that indicate exaggeration.
Exaggeration.
Vocabs, tremendous, and many vocabs like tremendous.
Yes.
So his diction, I think,
formal or informal?
It was kind of formal. Technical and. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So how does this action, his diction, create the mood? How did these words create the mood?
I think the mood is a bit suspenseful.
From where? How did you know? Underline the words for me.
When he said, undeniable fact that the soles were peeling and red muscle was exposed. And when he said, I could not, was terribly burnt.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Question B. Ragad? Are you here?
Yes.
Yes, Ragad. Read Ragad the question.
Are you talking to me, Miss, or someone
else? Yes, Ragad. Question 1B.
How does his diction shape the voice of the piece?
How does his diction, how does his choice of words shape the voice of the piece, of this, how it shaped the voice. The voice is the author's voice. يعني how does he feel here in this? The author himself. Read and underline any word that tells you the voice. I felt my body was burning. So it is burning. Right? What is the voice there? يعني how does he feel now? Huh. Choose another one, Yaraga.
Yes.
Okay. Who can discuss with me this girls? Fatima, are you here?
Yes, Miss, I'm here.
Yes, can you?
I'm not sure, but about the syntax.
Here we're still in the diction. How does his diction shape the voice of the piece? The voice here. His voice is what? The author's voice is what?
Like a stone.
Stone?
I mean, like his tone, like how is his.
Tone. Yes, yes.
Mm,
Like here when he says for you, the voice, is it authentic, sarcastic, thoughtful, self-deprecating, or witty, or confident? He is what? He feels what? The author feels what in this excerpt? He was walking in the street and suddenly finds himself getting burned. Natalie.
Yes, miss.
Huh?
He was feeling in agony. He was in pain.
Yes, painful. So his voice is painful. Shocked also, right? What happens? Why I get burned? You understand what happened? He was walking in the street and suddenly he finds himself getting burned for no reason. Shocked, painful.
Miss,
Yeah.
the voice, does it apply to the author or the character itself?
Voice is for the author. Here it's what? Huh? When he writes it. Because this is okay? This is from the narrator's first point of view, which could be happen to the author himself.
Okay, so how is it different from the tone?
Voice and tone? Let's say that the tone is part of the voice. Okay? So you can look at the table on page 238. Okay?
Yes.
So the author, when he was writing this part, when he writes this part, he was what? He feels what? He feels what toward this piece of writing? He feels what toward this piece of writing? He feels happy, satisfied. He feels glamorous. What does he feel? Of course, he'll not feel happy, right? He feels shocked, painful. Okay. Question 2. How would you describe the Kash's sentence? How he put the words together. How can I describe the sentence? You can describe the sentence by sample, or sentences complex, or complex sentences, or complex sentences, yani sample or complex, or inverted, or rambling, or fragments, or questions. Here, which kind of sentences did he use?
Miss, I'm so sorry for interrupting, but Maya said she had a problem in Clasera and she's trying to enter like multiple times. It couldn't work. That's why she's late. So she wanted me to tell you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Asma, what kind of sentences does he use here in this excerpt? Asma, Layan al-Laham, they didn't answer me.
I'm back, miss. I was throwing tissues in the trash. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay, Layan. So Layan here.
Yes, miss.
Which kind of sentences did he use?
Reuse?
He used here in the excerpt.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but where are we? I'm so sorry.
Okay, Layan. Dareen?
Yes, miss.
Yes, Dareen. Which kind of sentences? Simple sentences, complex sentences, fragments, questions? Look at the excerpt and tell me. Yani, you can say when you find the end of the sentence.
When
Who can
Miss
answer
from
me?
page 239, right?
Yes. Okay. Who can you can answer, Dareen?
Yes, miss, but I'm not sure of my answer.
Answer, dear.
When we were resting because we were so exhausted, I found my grandfather's brother and his wife. In other words, great uncle and great aunt.
Dear, syntax is how the author put the words together. Is the sentence simple sentences, complex sentences, compound sentences, questions, fragments? Who can answer me, girls, please?
Can I answer?
Yes, please. Who?
Kadra.
Who?
Kadra.
Kadra, yes.
He used simple sentence and fragments.
Simple sentences and fragments. He used fragments. Where is the fragment? Tell show me.
Okay. For my burning body, the cold water of the river.
Uh-huh. It is not fragment. For my burning body, the cold water of the river was as precious as a treasure. So it's not a fragment. So he used simple sentences.
And compound.
Right? Simple sentences and compound sentences, which how they help you describe the mood. The mood is when what you get when you read. How simple sentences and okay, and just few compound sentences can put you in a mood. What is the mood when you read this? What is the mood you get as a reader when you read this? Durra? Durra here?
Yes, miss.
What is the mood, dear?
Like towards all the story.
Yes?
I feel like pity towards them.
Yes?
And that they were going through so much pain and like unnecessary burning.
Yes? Yes?
So as the reader, I feel bad for them.
Yes, how the sentence help you? As if there is no time to form compound sentences. As if the pain, okay, is more than to be described. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. How does his sentence shape the voice? Choice of words shape the voice. Huh? How the sentence shape the voice, how the author arrange the words, phrases, and clauses together, grammatically together, is the author's voice. This is, I'm sorry, is the author's syntax. How it, these things, how the syntax form the voice? How does it form the voice? Huh? Because the voice is the author's. Huh? Voice is author's what? You can find it on page 238.
Personality.
Yes, personality. So his personality shown is shown through the how he put the words together, through the syntax. Okay? Here, how the choice of the how he put the words together showed his voice.
That he is afraid. So
Yes.
he...
Yes, Najwa. Yes. Okay. Do you know this excerpt is from which about what event happened before? Do you have any clue?
In Japan, Hiroshima.
In Japan, yes, in Japan.
The explosion.
The explosion. Have you heard about the explosion of Japan?
Yes. Yes.
What happened there, girls?
It was in World War One.
Yes, two.
It was at the end of either World War Two.
World War Two, yes. At the end, it was the reason for the end.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Yes, and what happened in...
America bombed Japan with a nuclear bomb.
Yes. So I will share with you my presentation.
Miss?
Yes?
Could I go to the bathroom?
Yes, Yelena.
Okay.
You see the PowerPoint, girls?
Yes, miss.
Okay, our excerpt is Hiroshima. And Hiroshima is a city in Japan. The capital of Japan is Tokyo, and Hiroshima is also we can say number 2, the second important city in Japan. This was Hiroshima. This was Hiroshima before the nuclear bomb. Okay. So this is the city before the war. You see, this is the city. Here, all of these are buildings. All of these are buildings, and here is a river. Can you see, girls? Because in a while. Okay, read Noor Yusuf.
Yes, miss. Okay. On August 6, 1945, a mushroom cloud bolted into the sky about 1 hour after an atomic bomb was dropped by America B-29 bomb. The
Enola Gay
denoted above, Hiroshima, Japan. Nearly 80,000 people are believed to have been killed immediately, with possibly another 60,000 survivors dying of injuries and radiation exposed by 1950.
Yes, so 1945, a bomb was thrown in the middle of Hiroshima. After an hour, there was a mushroom cloud. Here, the bomb was here, and this mushroom cloud came over the sky of Hiroshima. 80,000 people were killed, of common people, and 60,000 were injured. Here are some pictures for people after the bomb. The bomb, it burned their bodies, as he explained here in his excerpt. Even if you are so far away, okay, it melts their skin, okay, because these are radium. What is the radium that Marie Curie has invented or discovered? The element. Okay, look at this picture. See, no buildings, no, all of this, no, nothing. The whole city was nothing. The whole city was just one land like this. Nothing remained. see the devastation. It was the heat of the bomb melted everything. Look, nothing stays. Yani, this is a church, I think. Imagine that everyone is in the church has been transferred, like has been melted, like the candle, like the wax. Okay, before we move to our excerpt, I would like to show you a video. The video is what would have happened if you were at Hiroshima. Can you see my PowerPoint? Not PowerPoint, I mean the video. Can you see the video? Grade 10.
Streetcars go by.
Yes, miss, we can.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
$1945, and you're about to live through hell. But for now, a brilliant, clear day is getting started. Morning traffic and crowded streetcars go by, and you arrive at work, a large modern office building. Earlier in the morning, there was an air raid alarm, but by now those are so common that they hardly register as more than routine. And besides, the all clear has come through. Only a few planes were spotted, meaning this likely wasn't a bombing run. There's no real reason to believe that this day would be any worse than the last. Other Japanese cities, notably Tokyo, have taken serious hits from bombing, but so far your city, Hiroshima, has been comparatively fortunate, all but ignored by the American B-29s. The total warfare Japan has been waging for over a decade has affected everyone in the country in some way. When you were younger, you'd served overseas yourself. Now, all these years later, it's almost surprising that you've been spared the worst tragedies of the home front. Most of all, you pray that the war will end before your son is old enough to fight, or daughter to be widowed. For now, like the other teenagers, they've been occupied with civilian defense, helping knock down old buildings to make way for military vehicles in the event of an invasion. A minute later, 8:15 a.m., you step into the lobby of the building, and then the world changes. An incredible yellow light, like the flash from a camera, blazes all around you, and everything around you becomes empty white. You're sent flying, and you feel pieces of debris strike you, followed by the deafening boom as the sound from the explosion catches up. You slam against the floor and lose consciousness, probably just for a moment, you're not sure. You know you need to get up. Did you break any bones? No time to consider the situation. No one else is in the lobby with you, but all of the furniture has been blown to one side of the room, along with your body. You push yourself up and step back outside through the door that's now missing all of its glass. You check all around yourself and see what you're up against. In front of you is a wall of fire, and it seems to be growing. You turn to run the other way, but now the wind is against you, and the glass shards and pieces of rubble fly back toward the blaze in the most powerful storm you've ever felt. You duck back into the doorway and watch as anything that can catch fire does. Somehow you'll have to fight the tremendous windstorm. As you push forward, you catch glimpses of people who's been outside.
The best RPG on PC is seconds away. Download now on the Plarium Play.
Outside during the blast, some lying dead in the street. The fingertips are the first part of the body to catch fire. Among the living, some are horribly burned. The boiling wind blows strips of clothing off them, along with strips of skin. Everyone just wants to get away from the fire. You feel like you might be getting burned yourself. There's the river in front of you. Along with the pack of people pressing against you, you jump into the water. When you rise above the surface to catch your breath, more debris rains down. How much time has passed? Are more bombs falling? You hear a child yelling and help her to get across to the other side of the river. There are no more bombs, and although there are fires burning in all directions, the fireball has stopped expanding and the air isn't as hot. You try to help people to their feet. Some can manage, others can't. A fire engine arrives and the men start pulling anyone who can't walk onto the truck. You help as best you can, and then follow in the direction that the truck heads, along with a small cohort of other people who've escaped the worst of the blast. Now, as you trek through piles of brick, concrete, and metal, making your way back toward your house, the cloud cover thickens and heavy drops of rain fall. They're black, apparently from soot. Nothing is as important to you as finding out if your family is safe, but neither you nor the other survivors can ignore the calls for help as you pass block upon block of leveled buildings amid the smoke and fire. For hours, as you press northward through the smoke and the wreckage and burning houses, you hear the cries of people trapped below buildings. When you can, you free them from the debris. Others, you're powerless to help. You pass countless stumbling, crawling, prostrate, or dead. You bury your guilt and try not to see the worst. You press forward in what you're fairly sure is the direction of your neighborhood. A little girl is wandering, clutching at a wound on her head. You refuse to pass her by, and for a mile you carry her, until you reach a makeshift clinic inside a school that, aside from its windows, is largely intact. Later you'll learn that you were among the closest people to the atomic blast who didn't die. The building you were in shielded you from the full force of the blast and heat. Anyone within a half a mile who was exposed to the initial blast of heat didn't merely burn to death, they were instantly incinerated. Outside of that radius, thousands more burned to death.
So this is where the bomb has fallen on Hiroshima, in this circle. Okay, nothing remained alive. Okay, no human, no animal, no plants, nothing remained alive. Okay. Outside it, they were burned to death or died from the flying debris. The flying debris is what is left, okay, of the buildings.
Teacher, were they fire? Or not in the place, far away?
Yes, fire everywhere, because this cloud formed a storm and rain, and everything was.
So they died from fire, not only from the air.
Yes, from the fire. Those who at the beginning they died from the. They got like melted, okay, and then they got melted. I'm sorry, and then they. What do you want to ask again?
I mean, like far away from it, from the place.
Yes, away from that place, they were burned to death.
Oh, okay.
And even if not from outside, from inside, their organs, the organs inside the body.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, okay, thank you.
Death or died from the flying debris and falling buildings. Here in the elementary school, people are already stretched out shoulder to shoulder on the floor. A few nurses scramble from person to person, cleaning the worst wounds, but apparently already without enough bandages for everyone. Some of the charred bodies have clearly already stopped breathing. All of the emergency planning in the city, setting up emergency aid centers with supplies in the various sectors of the city, had assumed that there would actually be a city left after an attack. Most of the adults are stoical in their suffering, but from the cries of children it's clear that there's little medicine for the pain. As you scan the unbelievable ranks of bodies on the mats, desperately hoping not to see anyone familiar, you see the full extent of their injuries. Many are so badly burned, you can't imagine that they'll survive. Apparently, people who were wearing dark-colored clothing were sometimes burned more than those wearing white because of the difference in heat absorption. With uncontrollable tears of relief, you learn that no one in your family is among them. 3 miles from the city center, your family's wooden house was destroyed, but it hadn't caught fire, at least not yet. You're frightened when you realize that your wife has been bleeding, cut down her back and sides by glass shards, but she assures you that the injuries are all on the surface and takes you by the hand to your son and daughter, both of whom are trying to administer some aid to the wounded. There's no actual ointment left, and they're making do with cooking oil, which is better than nothing, albeit disturbing, given what's happened. They've both suffered bruises and cuts, but their greatest pain was waiting for you to return. They'd been certain that since you were in the city center, you must have been killed. For your part, you're glad you're able to keep your children healthy as they've grown up. Other young people at the clinic have become weak as the rationing has gotten worse. And you can see that among the injured, malnutrition is going to make the chances of survival much less likely. Now that you've found your family, you can go back out and help with the rescue. You can't see much organized effort beyond the continuing lines of evacuees, but along with other individuals, you try to move as many of the injured as you can. Some wounded people are stuck on a sandbar by the river, and you help to lift them to higher ground before the tide rises. In one particularly gruesome instance, the body of a victim slips from your hands as the burned skin of the arm tears loose. After several more hours, you begin feeling weak and wander back to the aid station. By the time you get there, you realize that broken bones or no, you haven't escaped unharmed. It can't just be exhaustion catching up with you. You're lightheaded and feel weak, like you've come down with the flu. You sit down on a cot just to catch your breath. You feel feverish. A nurse offers a cup of water, which you gratefully accept. But as you pour the cool liquid past your lips, you can't swallow it. Embarrassed, you cough and spit it out. You feel much worse all of a sudden, and without hesitation begin to vomit on the floor. Someone puts a wastebasket next to you to catch it. You aren't the first with this symptom, nor will you be alone as you continue to retch and suffer diarrhea for days on end. Aid workers are distributing soft rice biscuits and bowls of rice porridge, but like you, many people have little appetite. As days pass, insects find the necrotic tissue on the survivors. Horrid family members do their best to clear the wounds of larvae. You're embarrassed to have your wife and child caring for you. It's supposed to be the other way around. After a couple days of misery, the nausea subsides. How could it not? You haven't eaten in days. It takes courage, but you're able to take tiny sips of water and then a bite or two of porridge. It's rare to get a moment with a doctor, but from what you can overhear, you've been hit with sickness caused by an invisible kind of force called gamma rays that can fly right through your body, ripping tissues apart. As your strength recovers, you again try.
So here he wants to tell you that this man was not, he didn't catch fire, he was not burned, but inside, his gut inside was burned. This radium or this, what they have just mentioned, what is it called? Gamma rays. Yes, the gamma rays did what to his body? They like cut the bodies inside, his organs inside.
Try to make yourself useful, aiding in the endless recovery work. Often, that means helping to carry bodies to the perpetual funeral pyres. Many of these unfortunates never got to say goodbye to their families, and their loved ones will never know what became of their remains. For some victims, the poisoning from radiation was much worse. By the 24-hour mark, several had become incoherent from damage to the brain. Others had a racing heart. Some soon suffered a heart attack. Some literally changed color, turning bright red as if sunburned. Those who, unlike you, never recovered their appetite were dead in a few days. But then something especially worrying begins. Several people who had been up and about are now again lying flat down on the cots, and they don't look good. Their skin has become mottled with purple blotches as blood vessels break. Again, they feel weak and sick. The pain already looks like too much to bear, but then it gets worse. The dying vomit blood, and the blood flows from their anus. Even the eyes begin to bleed. By now, additional medical workers have come from the outskirts and outside the prefecture, but those who hover over death tend to have shriveled veins, so they can't even receive morphine. You hope that you're not due to follow their downward slide. A doctor examines you and notices spots on your body that you'd overlooked. It's happening. But at least for now, you don't feel it, and you're able to carry on a conversation. The doctor has come from Tokyo. He must be an expert on this kind of disease, although before the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there were very few cases, mostly scientists doing research with radium or other unusual substances. He confirms that the atomic bomb blast dosed you with harmful radiation. In that conversation and many more that would follow over the years, you avidly learn details about radiation. The blast did emit gamma rays and X-rays as well. They're slightly different, but the main thing to know is that in a high enough strength, they're both very bad for you. Unlike the relatively weak X-rays that doctors use to take pictures of your bones. Both X-rays and gamma rays are made of photons, the same kind of wave particle as a regular beam of light. But they have much shorter wavelength and very different properties from visible light as far as people are concerned. By comparison, some of the people who are recovering from serious burns to the skin also received a very, very heavy amount of long wavelength infrared radiation, which causes matter to heat up, in this case, a great deal. The temperature of the blast was thousands of degrees, enough to reduce people to dust in an instant. Although gamma rays don't cause surface burns, they're an example of what's called ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation, like the signals that a radio antenna picks up, doesn't seem to have much of an effect on living tissue at everyday doses. But ionizing radiation is another story.
المال لا ينمو على الأشجار بل ينمو مع أمازون. انضم اليوم باستثمار صغير.
This class gets its name from its invisible effect, which is to cause an atom to lose electrons, leaving positively charged ions. Inside the cells of your body are complex molecules held together by electrons, and if enough of the molecules are torn apart, the cell dies. This is especially bad when it happens in bone marrow, which manufactures blood cells for the body. A deficiency of red blood cells deprives the body of oxygen. Low white blood cell count leaves the body vulnerable to infection, and too few platelets prevents blood from clotting, which
Okay, guys, we'll stop here. We will go for a break for 5 minutes and then we come back. Okay? Don't be late, please.
Okay.